Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Newscast, where I go over the top news of the last week in retro handhelds, retro gaming, and just gaming in general. For this week, PCSX2 on Android has hit beta status. Google is going to block sideloading. Abxylute is making a behemoth of a handheld that you should probably take a look at. Retroid keeps doing Retroid things for whatever reason. And the AYN Thor is up for pre-order, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Hey everyone, late Thursday night Joey here. AYN just teased the Odin 3 with a picture, so that'll be in today's newscast as well. I'm actually just going to go film that all right now. But first, look, we have to talk about this. Like, I have to talk about it. Went to Winners, of all things. I don't know do Americans and other countries have Winners, HomeSense, Marshalls? Do you guys have all of that? Either way, those groups of companies, stores. And I found this Nightmare Before Christmas sweater, and it is absolutely awesome. And I should turn around so you can see the back. Let me do that. I don't know how much of this is coming through. So I don't know how much of that comes through because of, well, I have audio listeners and I have green screen and all of that, but man, 40 Canadian dollars. They have these awesome themed Nightmare Before Christmas sweaters. And for those that don't know why I'm so excited, Nightmare Before Christmas is my favorite movie of all time. So I was so excited when I saw this just at Winners, and it is like high quality. And no, this isn't an ad for Winners, but they also had ones for Nightmare Before Christmas, or no, Chucky and Jason. So they had other options too. And I was just surprised. I went to Winners and I find this. I'm so happy. This has nothing to do with the newscast. Let's actually talk about news, but I had to explain it because I'm sure I was going to get questions about it. Beacon Launcher is back from the dead. I'm kind of kidding. But we have our first update in 3 months. They've added some support for XB Play and some other emulators. They've also added some missing RetroArch cores. They have fixed Beetle cores, which was causing issues in RetroArch when you used Beacon. And I have actually run into this before. You actually had to set it to Mednafin or like some other one. It was a weird scenario, but either way, they fixed it. And there's some other fixes and things like that. I love to see this. Beacon is super underrated, and it is an awesome front end. Gamma of GammaOS fame has released a progress update of where he's at and what he's been doing. He is moving over GammaOS to Android 14 for some better updates there. He's expanding the device ports to the Mangmi Air X, Anbernic D8300 series of devices, and the MagicX 040. He is actually still trying to unlock the bootloader on the D8300 devices, so it seems to be heavily locked down and he's still working on it. Now for shader users, he is bringing global shaders and BFI and EQ as options to Android for the first time ever. So yeah, you can toggle these on globally, which is super cool. Then there's some more updates and things like that, but Gamma is doing awesome things as usual. The Link's Awakening DX HD port has been updated. Basically, a dude got bored and was tired of all of the bugs with the existing port. He went and fixed them all and then released an update. So it's good news for us. Thank you to the guy who was bored. Grab the port if you want to play some Link's Awakening DX HD as a port. ARMSX2 is now out in beta, and you can grab the release from the ARMSX2 Discord. ARMSX2 is a port of PCSX2 for ARM devices, like Android. PCSX2 is the PS2 emulator that exists on PCs for those that don't know. Now, I have not personally tested this yet, but this is like the third project that I know of porting PCSX2 to Android. And that's super exciting. Whoever can figure this all out and gets it all working, and gets it all working better than the existing PS2 emulators we have, this is going to be great for PS2 emulation on Android. Either way, we are in beta, so if you are planning on testing this out, make sure that you are somebody who is going to relay feedback on what is and isn't working, because that is the whole point of a beta and being a tester. Now, I am sure that you've heard, but Google will be blocking sideloading in the future for unverified Android apps. I am going to be totally honest here. I don't feel super qualified to speak on this specific topic, and so I don't want to pretend to know the ins and outs of how this works. I have seen some people say that our space is fine because we are using uncertified builds of Android, and then I've seen some people say the complete opposite. I don't know what is wrong or right here. I don't have the knowledge to point you in any direction, so just going to let you know about the story. And I think the point of this is we will wait and see what happens in the future, what Google does, how it affects our niche, all that sort of thing. If it is true and it is unverified or uncertified Android that is fine, which is what we use in this hobby, then it'll likely just affect your phones and things like that. So you're using a Samsung phone, probably affects you there, all of that, which would just probably drive more people to our hobby instead of against it, because there are a lot of people that use their phone, and when suddenly they can't, then it would just drive them to our hobby. That is the quick thoughts on it. If all of this is true, I don't know. We'll wait and see and what happens there. Again, I don't really know the ins and outs of this, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. Okay, so question of the week. Can a 36-year-old adult go out into the world wearing a Nightmare Before Christmas sweater? The answer is yes. The real question of the week, based off of the dual screen handhelds that are coming out, probably the last type of device, I think, on most people's list of what they've been waiting for. You probably have a wish list of things that you've been waiting for, hardware-wise, and I'm willing to bet dual screen handhelds probably crosses off a lot of people's lists. So, to my question of the week, what are you still waiting for now? Hardware or software-wise? Is there something that is missing for you? And I don't mean like device and all that, but is there something in retro gaming that we don't have that you are still waiting for? For me, and this isn't a secret, but I am still waiting for 3DS retro achievements. That is top of my wish list. Now, especially now that we have dual screen devices, they are less important to me at the moment until I get 3DS retro achievements, and then I can replay all of my 3DS games with that. So that is top of my personal list, and that is software. So I'm actually very curious. Do you guys have anything that you're missing that you are waiting for still, hardware or software-wise? Let me know in the comments. Abxylute is teasing an upcoming PC handheld called the Abxylute 3D1. This will be the world's first glasses-free 3D handheld. Now, they did say it will be retailing for under $1,700 US, and spec-wise, it is using the Intel Lunar Lake processor, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and a 120 Hz display. It is also one of the biggest devices that I have ever seen in my life. This thing is massive. The controllers detach and they connect to each other, so you can set it up that way if you want. But complete honesty here, they could not have made a device that is so opposite to whatever I want in a handheld than this one. This is like, if you took everything that I want in a device and flipped it, that would be this thing. And I'm guessing there are probably some people that are interested in this. Maybe they like 3D for whatever reason. I'm not about that life. Maybe they like massive handhelds. Also not about that life. I am curious. I have to know. How many of you are actually super interested in this Abxylute 3D1? And I don't mean this in a negative way at all. It is interesting to see something different, but it's just, it isn't even the weirdest handheld on today's Newscast, but it is too much for me. So let me know. Oh my God, please, let's go back to the other story. Please, let's go back to the other story. MagicX has released their design for the Retro DS, as they are calling it. It is their upcoming device, and it is the ugliest thing that I have ever seen. And we just got over the other news story that had one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. Look, I'm sorry. I know MagicX and Sean, and I have talked to him behind the scenes and all that sort of thing. I am sorry, Sean, but like, looking at this MagicX Retro DS and how it looks, and I'm sorry for the audio listeners, you have to go pull this thing up. For anybody that knows what a Loudred is, Pokemon, it is that in handheld form. It is the MagicX 040, except they made it larger and then they added speakers on the bottom and they curved it. It is the most handheld that, like, when you are in line to check out at a grocery store or at a supermarket or at one of those stores, and you look to your left and you see those lines of like candy, and then there's water bottles, and then there's all these sorts of things, and then you see some electronics, and then you see this thing. That is what you picture. You picture like a checkout line item. That is what this looks like. It looks like I could go get this at like a tourist store for like whatever country I'm in. I am sorry. It looks so weird. I don't know what else to say here. I'm sure the device will probably be fine. And it is dual screen, top and bottom, so not a flip or anything like that. But it is the weirdest design that I have ever seen in a handheld so far. Mangmi's website has been updated, and there is now a product page for the Mangmi Air X. Make sure that you sign up for the $5 off newsletter coupon if you're actually interested in buying one. We still have to wait for mid-September, and I am still, to this day, getting comments that this device will not release at the advertised price, which I don't know where those people are getting their information from. I think they're all on AliExpress, but no, this is going to release at this price. That is why these prices exist on the website, because they are actual prices. So, long story short, if you have not seen my review on the Mangmi Air X, I suggest you go check it out, and you'll learn everything you need to know about it and why it is so exciting for $90. Okay, so in an absolutely bizarre move to anybody that maybe hasn't been paying attention to Retroid lately, they have come out and they said that the dual screen add-on does not work with the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, despite advertising it as working with it previously. They are refunding those that did buy the dual screen add-on with a Retroid Pocket 4 Pro on the same order, but they also went nuclear with it and started refunding people that had bought a Retroid Pocket 4 Pro in the past and then bought the dual screen add-on. So they went nuclear here and canceled a whole bunch of people's orders, refunded them, all of that sort of thing, which good, I guess, in a lot of ways. That is a good thing to do, but also, like, why didn't you know that this didn't work with your product a month ago when you would have been testing this product? But to make things even weirder, and I have not seen this confirmed from Retroid directly, apparently they have fixed the issue and it now actually does work with the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. So I don't know what's going on anymore. I am recording this on Thursday morning. It is definitely possible that they will release a statement Thursday night, in which case, by the time this newscast goes up, it might have some late information, but I can only go off of what I know as of right now. Now, alternatively, apparently, the dual screen add-on that I had tested actually does not work with other devices anymore, non-Retroid devices, because the display shows up as rotated. So they have fixed one thing, broke another, and then fixed another thing and broke another thing. Look, we talked about it last week after the first news about the input delay, and I don't want to get into this all over again, but it is absolutely baffling to me that this company continually does no testing and no QA, release after release after release after release, and I feel like I'm the only person that calls them out on this stuff, and then I get in trouble for it from the community for, oh, Joey just hates Retroid, despite the fact that the Flip 1 is my favorite handheld at the moment. And I love the 2S, and I love a lot of their products. But why does this keep happening with Retroid? Why does it keep happening? I said I wouldn't get into it, and we're getting into it. I don't understand how you can say that this works with your product, and then we are past the date when it was supposed to be shipping, and now you are like, it doesn't work with the product. Then a day later, you're like, it does work with the product. This is the most baffling company to me, because they should be one of the most successful in our niche. And they absolutely are from a sales perspective and from what a lot of people think about them. But the 2S 2 years ago is the last handheld that I can remember from Retroid, last actually device from Retroid that I can think of that did not have an issue that directly correlated to them not testing or doing QA and instead relying on YouTubers to do that, or instead relying on, I don't even know, others to do that work for them? Like, is this their thing internally? Is that what they are guessing will happen? We will just release and then let others figure it out and then we'll fix it? Because that's not a strategy at all. And it is baffling to me that this keeps happening over and over and over and over again, that I cannot defend this anymore. I mean, I wasn't defending it already. The Retroid Pocket 5 review units already soured that for me, but how can you still recommend this product right now after everything you've seen? I can't. I have one. It is boxed up. I put it away. There is no world where I could recommend you spend $70 on this product at the moment. There's no world. How can you after everything you've seen? What else isn't working? What else is broken? What else needs to be fixed? All of that. So that's kind of where I stand at the moment. Like, for example, our next story, and it is the Retroid Pocket Mini V2 got an over-the-air update to adjust sound and audio and all of that. And instead, it did the complete opposite. I have seen reports from everybody that have installed this update that it is worse than it was before. Now, I have gotten rid of my Mini V2 in anticipation of the Thor coming, so I can't even test this myself. But what is happening here? Like, what is going on here? They even have a tester part on their Discord that they can send these over-the-air updates to test and make sure that they work properly before sending it out to everybody, and they still don't do that. So it is very, very confusing what is going on with Retroid. I do not get it. I do not understand. For me, I have already stopped installing over-the-air updates from Retroid, and I have waited personally on myself as a content creator for this. Even I don't do them. I wait for you guys to test them and then tell me what's wrong, because like, this happens constantly. It happened with Retroid Pocket 5. It happened with the Flip 2. You get an over-the-air update that makes things worse, and then you have to wait for a new fix to come. And so I think that is the way that you should do things now. For anybody listening, maybe just wait before installing these updates to see what people say about them, and then you can see what to do. Otherwise, I don't know how you continually trust them on software or even hardware anymore at this point. AYN released some pricing information for the upcoming KONKR Pocket Fit. Well, they did, and then they kept lowering the price daily, and it was very, very weird. So it started with a picture saying under $369 US. Then I saw another picture that said under $356 US. Then I finally saw another picture that said under $329 US. And I think that's where we're at now, from what I understand. Look, I am all for fun marketing and all of that sort of thing, but I think the one thing you don't want to make a marketing thing like this is pricing. You do not want to confuse your audience on what exactly is the price of your upcoming device by doing this. Although it was funny to see them kind of go down and down and down every day, it's just, you just release the pricing. Like, don't play games with pricing. You can play games with everything else. Just don't play games with pricing. Look, all of that aside, when we look at the specs of this device, that pricing is actually pretty fantastic for what you're getting. Snapdragon G3 Gen 3, 6-inch 1080p, 144 Hz, LCD screen, which is probably the only negative here instead of OLED, 8,000 milliamp hour battery, dual trigger locks, which is cool to see in a handheld form. And it is basically like an upgraded Odin 2 if we didn't already know the Odin 3 was coming. So I saw a lot of comments making fun of AYN for this because KONKR is supposed to be their budget brand. And so their first budget brand pricing is $329 US. But we can make fun of them for that. Sure, I will join in with that. But when you look at the actual pricing and you look at what you're getting, it's a good value. Like, even me saying this as probably one of their harsher critics, that is a good value for what you're getting in a device. And so we can make fun of them for not being completely budget, but I think that pricing makes sense. What I want to know is, if this was AYN branded, would this have just been $100 more because it has AYN as a brand on it? Like, is that the only difference, that they are baking in brand costs like Apple does into their devices? And suddenly this is cheaper because of that? That's where my mind goes on these things. But either way, $329 for what you're getting. If it all works, good price to me. Now, there are two things we have to talk about when it comes to this. The first is this going to be early bird only pricing like they always do? In which case, this is significantly less exciting. You can't really build a community when your devices go up $200 every time you release early bird to retail. So that's one of my main concerns. My second concern is the Odin 3. As good as this looks, I'm going to imagine everybody at this point, with the history of AYN versus AYN, is going to wait to see what the Odin 3 looks like. And if the rumors of the Odin 3 using the 6-inch 1080p 120Hz OLED screen from the Thor is true, then that is already one leg up over the KONKR Pocket Fit. And if it can match the other specs, then it'll be very interesting to see what the fight will be here. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm thinking. It's going to depend on who's going to blink first, I think, maybe. But we've already seen pricing on the KONKR Pocket Fit. So now AYN knows what they can release the Odin 3 at to be competitive if they want to. Although, again, it doesn't matter if the whole early bird to retail thing is going to be the same, because AYN will just win over a longer period of time by having a normal price device, as opposed to AYN, who seems to want to overprice the retail market. So I would love to see AYN actually put an effort in on the retail pricing to be just the early bird pricing, or like $10 different, like what AYN does, because that's where actual competition comes into play. But we'll see. Okay, let's just hit all of the notes here. We've talked about Retroid, we've talked about AYN, we've talked about AYN. Let's talk about Anbernic here. And Anbernic, in a bizarre move, has decided that they will no longer be selling the 8GB version of the RG477M. That just came out within the last month. Honestly, I don't have a lot of words on this. I don't know who in their right mind could spend $280 on an RG477M, given all of these other devices that we are seeing that blow past that. But that's your only option nowadays if you want an RG477M. Personally, I bought an RG405M off of Anbernic's sale this week, so I have that coming. I went the opposite way. I want the 405M back, personally. But what a baffling week for decisions by these companies. It's great for the newscast, but it is so weird. Okay, and then we get to the AYN Thor, and that went up for pre-order this week. And did you grab one? I did. I'm curious if you did. Now, I can see AYN affiliates on my end. I can see the numbers for orders using my link and all of that, the same way that I can see it for Retroid and Anbernic and all that sort of thing. The AYN Thor had the biggest single day number of orders that I have seen in my time doing whatever, since I've had access to these numbers from all the different companies. So obviously I can only see my numbers. I can only see my links and how they perform. It is the biggest that I've seen personally, which tells me that a lot more people are excited for a dual screen handheld like this than even I previously thought. Obviously, we know clamshells are popular. Anytime a clamshell pops up, it is super popular, it sells out, all of that. Dual screen seems to be going that step ahead. So it's pretty exciting, I think. Now, what was very interesting to me looking at all of these orders, not one of them was the Snapdragon 865 version. That actually surprised me because I would have thought there was at least somebody out there that was like, you know what, I only need this for DS and 3DS, so why would I spend extra? Now, I've said it before, I said it last week, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 absolutely makes sense for $50 more in a lot of different scenarios. But I mean, we have seen a lot of people go for, I don't even know. We've seen a lot of people blow up their lives for saving $50 in this hobby. People do it with the R36S to save $10 buying that handheld as opposed to better ones for $10 more. So it was shocking to me to see that not a single person bought the 865 version, which was weird. But I guess a lot of you just have better taste, I guess. I don't know. But it was weird to see that. But anyways, I do want to apologize for last week because I kind of blew off the Max SKU without really looking at it last week. And that was actually the SKU that I purchased. Reason being, when you look at the difference between the Pro SKU and the Max SKU, it is $80. That is the cost of a 1 terabyte SD card. So if you are planning to put one in, and you don't care about black as a color, so you're buying that Pro SKU anyways, then it kind of makes sense to just grab that Max SKU, get the extra RAM as like a free add-on, and you get a free built-in 1 terabyte internal drive, which is better than an SD card. So that is what I went with. I went with the Max White. Then I got the soft pouch and the TPU shell because I wanted to match my Odin 2 portal. I do wish that the sticks were white, and maybe that is something we could talk about with AYN. They could release white sticks so I could just replace them. I'm going to try the Odin 2 Portal's original sticks, see if those work, because I have those. I use the large sticks on my portal. But otherwise, I think if those gray sticks were white, that would make it all complete for that SKU. So we couldn't get them to fix the triggers on the Thor. Maybe we can get them to release another SKU or another accessory of sticks and white sticks so that we can fix the white SKU. Look, on the triggers thing, I did my best. I tried, but I haven't seen much come out of that. So I think a lot of people are going to understand what I mean when they actually get the device and see the triggers, but there's only so much you can do. So I tried. I put the effort in. What do you want from me? Okay, and now let's talk about the AYN Odin 3. I'm here late at night. It just dropped. I have to get it in for the newscast, of course. And so for those of you that haven't seen yet, AYN teased a picture of the AYN Odin 3, and it is a smaller Odin 2 portal, as I think most of us guessed. It is a Retroid Pocket 5 with the stick top, for those of you that are listening on audio and can't see the picture. For everybody else, there is a few things that are interesting about this, and we'll talk about that now. The sticks look big. That got me excited right away. Looks like they're big sticks. I don't know if these are the same ones as the Odin 2 Portal's big sticks that I use. They look a little bit wider or different, but that instantly got me excited because big sticks. Who doesn't want big sticks? The D-pad looks like it probably is not the same as the Odin 2 Portal's size, maybe a bit smaller, but it does look pretty big on that size. The buttons look pretty good as well. Now, the Thor is using bigger buttons than the Portal, according to AYN, and I'm wondering if they are using the same buttons here because they do look slightly bigger. So that will be interesting. That would mean sticks big, buttons big, D-pad decent size. Everything looks pretty good. Now let's talk about the cons here. There's no offset. So I think a lot of people were hoping that this would be a mix of an Odin 2 and Odin 2 Mini with some upgraded specs. The Odin 2 Mini had a very nice offset for controls. And basically what we're talking about there is the sticks and D-pad aren't right above each other in a line. You want a bit more of an offset. These look a little too close together. That means a grip is likely going to be necessary here. Just looking at it right away, probably going to want a grip for that offset to help it. Otherwise, yeah, this looks like a Retroid Pocket 5 with the sticks in the right place. Looks like a smaller Odin 2 Portal. We don't know any of the specs yet. All we have is this one picture. The biggest guess that we can make is that they are obviously, or of course, using the 6-inch 1080p 120Hz OLED screen from the Thor here, which does make sense. But other than that, I don't know. I'm curious what you guys all think in the comments. For me as an Odin 2 Portal owner, this doesn't do anything currently. Maybe if there was fun colors and all of that, I might change my mind. But for me, Portal and Thor seem like the best combination of devices right now. So I'm actually really curious. I'm guessing there's probably a lot of people that maybe skipped the Portal. Maybe you have an Odin 2. Is this enough of an upgrade for you so far, off of just a picture? Otherwise, I know of a few people that are already placing orders for a Portal after seeing this. So it is very interesting to see what happens when you get to the end stages of Android gaming. When you have what you need and the new device comes out that isn't looking to be better, suddenly everything changes. So very interesting thoughts. I looked at the picture. Looks all right. Looks like what I would expect from an Odin 3. Now let's just see what the specs are and see what they do there, if there's going to be any surprises. But so far for me, the Thor looks like it's a lot more interesting of a product than the Odin 3. We are now voting on September's Game of the Month and ROM Hack of the Month on the Discord. So if you want to play some games, now is a good time to come join the Discord and you can vote on what we play for next month. Currently, there's a lot of great games on both lists, but currently, The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons is winning for Game of the Month, and Castlevania Aria of Sorrow Reprise is winning for Rawback of the Month. Okay, Newscast Q&A time. As always, you can send in your questions to newscast@joeysretrohandhelds.com, or there's a Discord channel. You can send it in through there. I actually got a really good question this week, and it comes from Matt Davis. Matt says, since starting this channel and related website, you've taught this community a lot of useful things. I'm curious to know if the opposite has ever happened. What are some of the more useful things that members of this community have taught you? And look, honestly, the answer is everything. Everything that I know came from the community. I started my channel back in April 2nd of 2023. I bought my first device in February of 2023. It was an Anbernic RG477M. Prior to that, I had no experience with handhelds, didn't know what a custom firmware was, didn't know anything about this niche, anything about this community. I have obviously emulated things in the past. I usually emulate Pokemon, all that sort of thing. So I have all of that to fall back on, but I didn't go as in depth as I am now, and I didn't have any of the knowledge really that I have now. The way that I learned was finding out myself, honestly. From February to April, when I started my channel, it was all, okay, I have this Anbernic RG477M. How do I do this? Google it. How do I do this? Search the Discord. How do I do this? Search different things, ask people, all of that. And so I built up my knowledge that way. And then I kept doing it, and I still do it to this day. But the community actually made me, if that makes sense. That is how I got all of my information. I self-taught myself a lot of things, obviously using different resources, things like that. But all of that information comes from the community. It comes from people smarter than I am. And I am just somebody who can put all of that information together in a nice and easy guide or step-by-step thing on the website, all of that. So I just kind of dumb it down, make it easy for anybody to understand. But the community kind of taught me. Now, a good example of this is actually recently when I did my guide on Dolphin for Android. I had been putting off Dolphin guide or a Dolphin guide for a very long time for one specific reason. I hate Wii controls. I hate setting up Wii controls in Dolphin, and I never really understood the best way to do it. So I sat down one day and I'm like, you know what? I want to do this guide for other people because I don't get it, which means other people don't get it, which means I need to be the one to tell them how to do this. So sat down, figured it all out using a bunch of different resources, made it easy to digest, and then released a video with all of that in there. And that's kind of what I do. When I don't know something, I go and figure it out, and then I teach it back to other people. And that's really all. That's my channel in a nutshell, in all honesty. Like I get, it is funny because on my Discord, we have a help me channel. And so a lot of people come in and asking for help, and I try and help them where I can. In a lot of scenarios, 9 out of 10 scenarios, I take the exact phrase that they put into the help me channel, and I put it into Google, and then I find the answer and I send it back to them. I learn something, they learn something, and then that way next time, if I didn't know that answer, now I know it. So it's things like that. It is very weird how much information is out there in the world that is easy access to our fingers, and all you need to do is ask the right question. That's really the only hard part about it, is asking the right question, which I think you figure out over time. Now, slight tangent. I have seen a lot of people rely on AI for answers, the Google AI overview, ChatGPT, AI, all that sort of thing. 5 out of 10 are wrong. Completely wrong. Whatever answer they're giving you, completely wrong. I have tested this myself with Google's AI on their searching. Do not ever use that. It is the most awful thing ever. You're going to get the wrong answer so many times. And then I see people post it as like fact, as like, this is the answer. And then you're sitting there like, no, that's not right at all. I don't know where that AI got that information from, but that is not right at all. I think I'm just too old. I come from a generation where we had to look everything up. So nowadays it's just like, I'm going to type it into ChatGPT and it'll tell me. It is so weird, but I'm sure we'll get there over time. We're just not there yet. So just be careful with the information that you get from the source. That is all I have for you this week. Don't forget to like and sub to help the newscast grow. Don't forget we also have this audio only on all podcast apps and all that sort of thing. If you prefer that instead, consider subscribing to my YouTube membership to support me if you like. And appreciate you all for watching. That's all from me, Heidelberg, Germany.